all the hours, all the days, all the weeks for the crews now. This is their moment. Oxford with one returning blue, Carl Hudspeth, the president, 4 Britons in his boat. Listen out for Roald Hahn and also the German Hanno Weinhausen, and for Cambridge just one British rower, Mike Thorpe, plus Ponytail from Chester. David Nelson also a returning blue. And the 158th boat race is underway. April the 7th, 5 times the race has been held in, and Cambridge have won it every time. No other date has been so one-sided, and the start is crucial. And as expected, Oxford are away. Cambridge with the greater weight hope to harness it later, but look at Oxford charging clear.
Cambridge very slow on those first 2 or 3 strokes. You saw it in the practice earlier in the week. They were very slow getting going, but Oxford have got now about a third of a length, and now they've got to make this advantage work for them in this first 2 and 3 minutes as they approach the first corner in their favour. It's about worth a quarter of a length, and if they can just push this on, not really allow Cambridge to get into their stride. Cambridge settled into a very strong rhythm. They're looking very good, and remember, a stone and a quarter of man extra. It's like having an extra man in the boat. You've got 8 kilos, which is nearly 10 stone of extra power in that Cambridge boat, and into this headwind, this is having a big effect.
Oxford entirely aware of the Cambridge advantage with weight, but conscious of their technical skills, the ability to move this boat fast and efficiently and effectively as a unit, not necessarily being clunky as a big, heavy outfit. That could be their advantage, and they're holding it so far. Still just about a quarter of a length clear as Cambridge start to dig in. Mike Thorpe there with the sunglasses and the ponytail at 5, hurting so deeply as a result of defeat last year, having won with Goldie the year before that.
The umpire warning Oxford. Oxford were just pushing across a little bit, and here they go again. Oxford getting quite close to those Cambridge blade tips. They've straightened up again, but they're making a very big push here to try and get as much of an advantage as they now move into the very beginning. You can see Harrods there on the left. They're now trying to make a big push to get away a little bit, so they have an advantage going into this big corner.
In a sense, the more you hear from the umpire, the more really the coxes are doing their work. They're driving this aggressive racing line, looking for the fastest water. The deepest water is the fastest stream, and that is what both crews are searching for. Only though, if one crew moves at least 1 length clear in clear water, can they then move across and then go line astern. For the moment though, it is still a race, very much so, heading towards the 6-minute mark, something like 2,000 metres, which is the usual course length for the World Championships and the Olympics, which will be happening clearly later this year.
Cambridge in a very good position here as they approach the Hammersmith Bridge. They've got 4.5 minutes of an advantage that's worth 3/4 of a length going round this corner. They're on the inside of the corner. Oxford have got to hold on now. They've got to hold on. They haven't got enough of an advantage to move ahead, but you can see now Cambridge beginning to move. They've moved up to 37 strokes a minute, and they are pushing past.
Niles Garrett at stroke, a very cool, calm man, the butt of the jokes in the bus which takes them from the Goldie Boathouse to Ely where they practice, but a man who's relied upon for great rhythm.
Alex Woods there in the bow seat there for Oxford. We just saw lightweight, very small for boat race racing, but look at Cambridge now move. They are pushing their rating up, and you can see them shooting the bridge.
Coming through the target line is the second lamppost of that bridge, but also the idea then is to make sure that you're not just pointing towards the pubs where James Bayonot Clark were going to, but to make your way round to the left towards Chiswick Reach. And this is where the Surrey Bend could count now for Cambridge. They've kept alongside Oxford so far, and now they're starting to make it count.
Now, Oxford just have been warned. They've had to move out towards the outside of that corner. Very dangerous for them. They have to dig in, and they've got to hold all the way around the outside of this corner. Cambridge, big weight, remember, big power in their boat, harnessing it well. They've got the advantage, and this they've got to make work now for them. They've got to be able to move away, worth 3/4 of a length. They've got to move away and try and get clear of Oxford, because Oxford will have the advantage of the last bend.
So Cambridge pushing on. Wayne Pommen, winning president 2004 for Cambridge. You're alongside. How do you think they look?
Well, we've got a fantastic race on our hands here. Better than anybody expected, better than the bookies expected. Cambridge have done an amazing job here in the first 8 or 9 minutes. They've made their weight tell in the headwind, and now they've got another sort of 3 or 4 minutes here on this big Surrey bend. They have to get away from Oxford, because after this bend unwinds, then the inside of the next bend is in Oxford's favour. Cambridge have to get away and break them soon.
This is some contest. So many people, the towpath sages were saying the dark blues are going to run away with this, possibly by Hammersmith Bridge. Last year that happened when Cambridge were found wanting and Oxford just powered away to an overwhelming 4-length victory. But here we are now, coming up to the 9th minute by Chiswick Reach, past Chiswick 8, the island just on the right, or the left as we look now, back upstream, and here they are pretty much level.
Oxford holding on very well round the outside of this corner. There's just about another half a minute of that corner to go. Oxford are still in this race. Cambridge's advantage is beginning to run out, but they are making the most of it. They're really having a big push now, because they know that the advantage is going to turn to the other side of the river once they get round this corner. They've got a straight coming up alongside Chiswick 8. That's worth about a minute and a half. Cambridge being warned. They're trying to push out, but Oxford now holding on, and now they will try to push on and feel that they've got them straight. Now they're beginning to move, Oxford, and they've moved up back alongside again, and this straight now is where the advantage is going to start to favour Oxford. You have a little bit more of a turn just ahead there for Cambridge towards the Surrey side, but then comes the crossing. Now it's down to real guts and determination here. This is down to where the real boat race work is done. They've got about 8 minutes to go to the end of this race. Cambridge will be warned, they're coming across too much there, but they are reacting well, the Coxes. It's now big man's work here for the last 8 minutes of this race. Oxford just got the edge.
Trust is a word you hear so much from rowing crews. Trust in your own ability, trust in your own capacity, trust in the Cox, trust in each other's ability, and trust in each other as a unit to dig deep and do everything that you can in your power to take your boat to the finishing line first. And Oxford now have dug deep. They've held their own coming round that crucial Surrey bend, and now look as if they're pulling clear, just possibly a quarter of a length ahead of Cambridge as they come up towards the Duke's Meadows on the Surrey, the Middlesex side. They're coming very shortly to Corney Reach. We've still got something like 8 minutes to go, and there's little to choose between them.
That's the steps marker. 7 minutes to go in this race, and once they get round this little corner here, which is still in Cambridge's favour, what's happened? Cambridge stopped.
Cambridge have stopped. Wayne Pommer, what can you tell us?
We've stopped rowing. There's a man swimming across between the boats. Both crews had to stop. All the following boats have stopped. We've got someone here who thought it was a good idea to swim across in front of the race.
Fantastic boat race.
And we've stopped a historic race right in the middle. This is unprecedented.
Well, now, it'll be interesting. This could well be a restart for John Garrett.
John Garrett will start this race. He'll have to start the race with the crews pretty well even. Oxford just had an edge, but that'll be very, very tight. You'll have to start the race again from this point. Very, very tight.
This is what happened. There he is. There's this swimmer, the intruder in the water, just by the blades, and that was probably clever thinking, very quick thinking, underneath the blades there with Zoe de Toledo, the Oxford Cox, because that could have been quite frightening, and you can see him there, his head bobbing in the water, because that could have been quite horrific.
He could have had his head cut off.
Cambridge are happier at the moment on the Surrey bank. So we had a restart in 2001. That was from the Black Boy.
I'm going to start you.
We're further down the course.
Go easy up, but easy both crews. Easy, easy. Attention, go!
And away we go. Take two. The boat race restarted.
And again, Oxford very quick onto the second and third stroke. And they've already taken about a quarter of a length. They're moving out very, very fast, but they're very determined here. And you've got about 3/4 of a minute until they get to this small bend in Cambridge's favour. Cambridge will be they know that they've got to make an impression now. Oxford really moving well. They're moving, their blade work is very good. They're very good in rough water, Oxford. They've been really moving well in rough water, but they now see this as a sprint because they know that in 3 minutes' time they will have the advantage of this big corner in their favour.
And they've taken out almost a half a length, and they will have the corner bending
And
round
there's a clash,
towards...
a big clash,
and
there's a bit of broken oar.
There's a broken oar, that's
This is
Oxford.
terrible. This is terrible. They can't keep going.
So is this going to be... Look at, she's waving there, Zoe de Toledo. They've lost an oar.
Well, now the umpires... This is a
John Garrett had to make a decision.
Absolute chaos.
He had this before in the Isis Goldie race in 1990 and disqualified one crew. Cambridge now pulling clear. The umpire is allowing this.
The umpire will have to make a decision. He must assume that it was Oxford's fault that they went into Cambridge and he's allowing Cambridge to win this boat race. The race is over. Cambridge are going to win this boat race. They can't row with only 7 oars. This is very sad to see, really. From Oxford's point of view, it's very sad to see them battling on with only 7 men. It's very different to football. You know, if you're down to 10 men, you can still actually even win. But here, you have absolutely no chance. Unless it happened within half a minute of the race and they were leading, then there might have been a chance of getting across the line. But here, absolutely no chance.
Oxford have insisted, Oxford were warned. The umpire will say, I'm sure, that he warned them not once but twice. They continue to steer their course, Zoe de Toledo, and that is the price for what he may term as aggressive steering, attacking Cambridge too closely, too fiercely, and that is why, as Cambridge University approach the finishing line at the end of this 158th boat race, it's victory for Cambridge, victory for their coach Steve Trapmore in his 2nd year in charge. Controversy will dot this race about the intruder, about the restart, about the collision, about the broken oar, but for Cambridge it's all about celebration. For Oxford crossing now, winners last year so decisively, it's all about what might have been.
Well, against all the odds, Cambridge come home winners, but what incident, what an extraordinary series of events which left Oxford unable to finish their race.